Okay, let's unpack this. When it's scorching hot and your dog is just uh, going at it with the panting, ever stop to really think about how that works?
Yeah.
Here's something that might surprise you. Unlike us, who can sweat practically from head to toe, dogs have a much more targeted cooling system. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how they manage to stay relatively cool when the heat is really on?
It certainly does. And it's really a testament to their physiology. This deep dive is all about unraveling the ways dogs regulate their temperature. We're going way beyond just the obvious panting, trying to get a complete picture of their fascinating cooling strategies. We've looked into some great research on canine physiology, and our goal for you today is, well, to equip you with the knowledge you need to keep your furry friends safe and comfortable.
Right. Because when we feel hot, our first thought is usually, ugh, I need to sweat. But for dogs, it's a whole different ballgame. They don't have that all-over sweating capability like we do. So what are the key ways they keep their cool that we should really understand?
Yeah, the primary ways dogs manage their body temperature are through panting, vasodilation, and some pretty smart behavioral choices. Panting is the most noticeable, of course. Think of it as their built-in evaporative cooler.
Evaporative cooler, okay.
Yeah, by rapidly breathing in and out, they evaporate moisture from their tongue, their mouth, and the upper airways. It's actually a surprisingly efficient way to shed heat, but it also highlights why staying hydrated is so crucial for them. Panting is a high energy, kind of high stakes cooling method, which really underscores why even mild dehydration can quickly become critical.
Right, right. All that rapid breathing must use up a lot of moisture. Now, you mentioned vasodilation. What's the clever trick behind that one?
Vasodilation. It's essentially just the widening of blood vessels.
Okay.
In dogs, this happens particularly in their ears and face. So picture this. When their blood vessels expand in these areas, it brings more blood closer to the surface of the skin,
Oh, I see.
allowing heat to escape more easily into the surrounding air. Think of your dog's ears and face as these cleverly designed sort of deployable cooling panels. It's a neat bit of evolutionary adaptation to manage heat.
That's a great way to visualize it. So panting is like their internal EC, and vasodilation uses these external radiators.
Mm-hmm.
And the third strategy was behavioral adjustments, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do dogs instinctively do to stay cool?
Exactly. These are the intuitive things dogs do when they're feeling the heat. They'll naturally seek out shade, to avoid direct sunlight.
Hmm.
They'll lie down on cool surfaces like tile floors, or maybe you've even seen them dig little shallow depressions in the dirt to find cooler ground.
Oh, yeah, mine does that.
Right. And they also tend to reduce their activity levels significantly when it's hot. You might notice your dog being much more relaxed on a sweltering day.
Definitely.
And that's just their way of conserving energy and preventing overheating.
Smart. So panting is definitely the most obvious way we see our dogs trying to cool down. But our sources pointed out that it's not just about temperature regulation. What other important job does panting do for them?
That's a fascinating point, actually. Panting has this really important dual role. While it's absolutely vital for thermoregulation, it's also essential for maintaining the correct balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in their bodies.
Ah, okay.
It's their cooling system working hand in hand with their respiratory system, kind of like the body's multitasking air conditioning and breathing system all rolled into one.
Okay, so it's not just about blowing hot air out. Can you break down the actual mechanics? Like, how does the panting actually cool them down?
Certainly. So when a dog pants, they take these quick, shallow breaths.
Right, really fast.
Yeah, and these shallow, rapid breaths maximize the surface area and the airflow across the moist tissues. This makes evaporation highly efficient without expending the energy needed for deep breaths. This increased airflow over their moist tongue and mouth accelerates the evaporation of saliva. And as that saliva turns into vapor, it cools the blood vessels just beneath the surface in those areas. This cooled blood then circulates back through the rest of their body, helping to lower their overall temperature. It's a remarkably effective system, although, as we mentioned before, it can get overwhelmed in extreme heat or during really intense exercise.
And it sounds like something we really need to pay close attention to as owners, because the sources highlighted that excessive panting isn't always just a sign of being hot.
Absolutely. You're spot on there. While panting is a totally normal response to heat or exercise, excessive panting without an obvious reason can be a signal that something else might be going on.
Like what?
Well, it could potentially indicate underlying health problems like respiratory issues, maybe heart conditions, or even anxiety.
Hmm.
That's why it's so important for you, the owner, to be familiar with your dog's typical panting habits and, well, to consult your veterinarian if you notice any significant or unexplained changes. Better safe than sorry.
Definitely. Now, let's get to a question I know a lot of dog owners have wondered about. Do dogs actually sweat? It seems like a simple yes or no, but the sources tell us it's a bit more complicated than that.
You're right, it is. The short answer is yes, dogs do sweat, but it's definitely not the same kind of full body sweating that we experience.
Okay.
We have sweat glands pretty much distributed all over our skin, and that's a primary way we cool down. Dogs, in contrast, have sweat glands located in very specific areas, and their main cooling strategy relies on those other methods we've been discussing, the panting and vasodilation.
So where exactly do dogs have these sweat glands, and are they all the same type?
Good question. Dogs have two main types of sweat glands,
Mer-
merocrine and apocrine glands.
American and apocrine.
The merocrine glands are similar to our own eccrine sweat glands and are mainly found in their paw pads.
Ah, the boss.
Exactly. So when a dog gets hot, these glands release a watery secretion onto the surface of their paws. This sweat can provide a small amount of sort of localized cooling through evaporation. You might even notice those little damp paw prints your dog leaves on a hot floor sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Well, that's them sweating. Think of it like trying to cool a whole room with just a damp cloth. It offers maybe a little relief, but it isn't going to change the overall temperature much.
Okay, so those paw print puddles actually have some cooling purpose, even if it's minor. What about the other type, the apocrine glands? Where are those located and what do they do?
Right, the apocrine glands. These are found pretty much all over a dog's body, associated with hair follicles, but their primary function isn't temperature regulation at all.
Oh,
Instead, these glands secrete pheromones, chemical signals that play a crucial role in communication and social interactions between dogs, identifying each other, marking territory, that sort of thing.
so scent marking.
Exactly. So while they are technically sweat glands, their main job is more about sending messages than about cooling down. And this limited capacity for sweating really emphasizes why those other cooling mechanisms, like panting, are so incredibly vital for dogs.
That makes a lot of sense. So while dogs can sweat a little through their paws, it's really the panting and the vasodilation in their behavior that are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to staying cool. Now, something our sources kept emphasizing was how incredibly important hydration is. Why is water so essential for dogs, especially when they're trying to regulate their temperature?
Hydration is absolutely fundamental. It becomes even more critical when they're dealing with heat.
Right.
Water is involved in just so many essential bodily functions, regulating body temperature, obviously, but also aiding digestion, helping eliminate waste products. It's crucial.
Right.
And when a dog is panting heavily to cool down, they lose a significant amount of moisture through all that evaporation from their mouth and respiratory tract.
Makes sense.
If they don't replenish these fluids, they can very quickly become dehydrated. It can happen faster than you might think.
And we're not just talking about them being a little thirsty, right?
Yeah.
Dehydration can have some really serious consequences for their health, can't it?
Precisely. Yeah, dehydration isn't trivial. It can lead to a whole range of severe health issues, including heat stroke, which is life-threatening, kidney problems, organ damage, and in the most tragic cases, even death.
Wow.
That's why it's so important for you to make sure your dog always has access to fresh, clean water. And on particularly hot days, you might even need to encourage them to drink more often.
How can you do that?
Well, some owners find that adding a few ice cubes to the water bowl can make it more appealing, keeps it cooler for longer. Or maybe refilling it more frequently with fresh, cool water.
Good tips.
Mm.
What are some of the telltale signs that a dog might be getting dehydrated that we should be on the lookout for?
Okay, there are several key signs to watch for. These include gums that feel dry or sticky to the touch. They should normally be moist and slick.
Okay. Dry gums.
Eyes that appear sunken, a noticeable lack of energy or lethargy, more than just being relaxed from the heat, and a decrease in the elasticity of their skin.
Skin elasticity. How do you check that?
Yeah, you can do a quick check. Gently pinch and lift a small fold of skin on the back of their neck or between their shoulder blades. If it doesn't snap back into place quickly, almost immediately, that can be a sign of dehydration.
Okay, good to know.
And if you observe any of these signs, the dry gums, sunken eyes, lethargy, poor skin elasticity, it's really crucial to seek veterinary attention immediately. Don't wait.
Okay, so constant access to fresh water is an absolute must, especially when the temperature rises. Now let's talk about what happens when those cooling systems just can't keep up. Our sources discussed the dangers of overheating or heat stroke. What are some of the maybe early indicators that our dogs might be in serious trouble?
Yeah. Overheating or heat stroke is a very dangerous condition. It can escalate quickly, especially in hot, humid weather or during, intense physical activity, even fetching a ball sometimes. Recognizing the early warning signs can literally be life-saving.
So what are they?
Initially, you might notice your dog panting excessively, much more intensely than usual, maybe very rapidly, drooling much more than normal, like thick, ropey saliva sometimes, and appearing restless or agitated, unable to settle down.
Okay, excessive panting, drooling, restlessness. And if things progress beyond those initial signs, what are some of the more serious symptoms we should be aware of?
As overheating worsens, the symptoms become much more severe. You might see signs of disorientation or confusion, like they don't know where they are. Weakness, stumbling, a lack of coordination, they might seem unsteady on their feet.
Oh, wow.
And in critical cases, you could observe vomiting, diarrhea, sometimes with blood, collapse. And sadly, it can even lead to widespread organ failure, seizures, and death. It's a genuine medical emergency.
That sounds incredibly frightening. If we suspect our dog is overheating, what are the absolute first steps we need to take? Right away.
Okay, if you suspect your dog is overheating, every single second counts. First, immediately move them to a cool, shaded environment. Get them out of the sun, into air conditioning if possible.
Right, cool place.
Offer them small amounts of cool water to drink, but don't force them if they're unwilling or unable. You can also try to cool their body down by applying cool emphasis on cool, not ice-cold water to their fur.
Where should you focus the water?
Focus especially on their head, neck, belly, groin area, and paw pads where blood vessels are closer to the surface. You can use wet towels too. But avoid using ice or very cold water. That can actually be counterproductive. It can cause their blood vessels near the skin to constrict, which traps heat inside, and it can also cause shock.
Okay, cool water, not ice water. Got it. Then what?
After taking these initial first aid steps, it is absolutely vital to get them to a veterinarian as quickly as possible, even if they seem to be recovering.
Even if they seem better.
Yes, absolutely. Heat stroke can cause internal damage that isn't immediately obvious. The vet needs to assess them fully and provide necessary medical treatment, like IV fluids and monitoring.
Knowing those signs and those immediate actions is so crucial for any dog owner. Wow. Now let's shift focus slightly to prevention, which is obviously key. What are some practical things we can all do to help keep our dogs cool and safe, especially during the hot summer months?
Yeah, prevention is definitely the best approach. There are several key strategies you can implement. First and foremost, back to hydration. Ensure they always have access to plenty of fresh, cool water, both indoors and when they're outside.
Multiple bowls, maybe.
Yeah, multiple bowls is a great idea. Consider using spill-proof bowls if they're prone to knocking them over, or even a pet water fountain, which can encourage some dogs to drink more. And as we discussed, adding ice cubes can also be a great way to keep their water cool and provide a little extra hydration treat.
Hydration is definitely the cornerstone. What about their surroundings, their environment?
Creating a cool environment is also essential. Make sure your dog has access to shady spots when they're outdoors, and definitely avoid leaving them in direct sunlight for extended periods. Never, ever leave them in a parked car, obviously.
Absolutely not.
Indoors, use fans, air condition if you have it, or you can get those special cooling mats for pets to lie on. They work quite well.
Cooling pads.
And it's also really important to adjust your activity schedule. Avoid taking them for walks or engaging in strenuous play during the hottest parts of the day. That midday sun can be brutal.
So walk them when?
Opt for early morning or late evening when the temperatures are generally lower and the pavement isn't scorching hot, which can burn their paws too.
Right. Pavement heat is another danger. So being smart about when we're active with them is key. Anything else on the activity front?
Yes, absolutely. Be very mindful of their activity levels overall in hot weather. While regular exercise is important, it's crucial to avoid pushing them too hard when it's hot out. Stick to lower intensity activities, maybe short, gentle walks, some light indoor play, and make sure they have plenty of opportunities to rest in a cool area afterward. Listen to your dog. If they seem tired, let them rest.
It's also fascinating how much a dog's breed can influence how well they handle the heat. Our sources touched on that quite a bit. Can you explain a bit more about how different breeds might be more or less susceptible to overheating?
Absolutely. A dog's breed can significantly impact their ability to regulate body temperature and cope with hot weather, mainly due to various physical characteristics. For example, brachycephalic breeds, those are the ones with the short, flattened faces like bulldogs, pugs,
Those
boxers.
bushy-faced ones?
Exactly, the smushy faced ones. They are at a much higher risk of overheating. Their compressed airways, their small nostrils, elongated soft palate, it all makes panting a much less efficient cooling mechanism for them.
So they struggle more to cool down.
They really do. So they require extra vigilance and precautions in the heat. This means being particularly careful to avoid strenuous exercise, maybe even short walks if it's really hot and humid, and ensuring they have constant access to shade, cool water, and ideally air conditioning.
Okay, extra care for those breeds. On the other hand, are there certain breeds that are naturally better equipped to handle warmer climates?
Yes, there are some breeds that tend to be better adapted to hotter environments. Think breeds like the Basenji, maybe the Pharaoh Hound, Greyhounds too.
What makes them better adapted?
They tend to have leaner builds, often longer legs and muzzles, and shorter single coats. These features help them dissipate heat more effectively. Their body shape allows for better airflow, and less coat means less insulation.
But they can still overheat.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial to remember that even these more heat-tolerant breeds still need proper care and hydration. They are not immune to the risks of heat stroke, especially if overexerted or left without water and shade.
Right. And what about those wonderfully fluffy, long-haired breeds? The Huskies, golden retrievers, dogs that seem to wear their own winter coats year-round. How do they manage when it gets hot?
Yeah, breeds with long or double coats, like Huskies, Malamutes, Golden Retrievers, Bernese Mountain Dogs, they face a different set of challenges in hot weather. While their thick coats can provide some insulation against the sun's direct rays, they can also trap heat close to their bodies, making it harder for them to cool down, especially in humidity.
So what helps them? Shave them.
Actually, shaving is often not recommended for double-coated breeds unless medically necessary. Their coat system is designed to insulate against both cold and heat to some extent, and shaving can interfere with that, potentially leading to sunburn as well.
Ah, okay, so no shaving.
Mm.
Then what?
Regular grooming and thorough brushing are really important. This helps to remove the loose undercoat, which is the dense insulating layer. Getting rid of that dead fur improves air circulation within their coat and allows their skin to breathe better, which can significantly help them stay cooler and reduce their risk of overheating.
Okay, good grooming is key for the fluffy ones. This has been incredibly helpful, really eye-opening. So just to summarize everything, what are the most important things we should all take away about how our dogs stay cool?
I think the key takeaways are, one, dogs have unique cooling mechanisms that go beyond just sweating like humans. While they do have some sweat glands in their paw pads, their primary ways of regulating temperature are through panting,
Right, the main old.
vasodilation, especially in their ears and face, and making smart choices about their behavior, like seeking shade and reducing activity. Understanding these mechanisms, along with the critical importance of keeping them well hydrated and, crucially, recognizing the early signs of overheating, that's all absolutely essential knowledge for every single dog owner.
And we should also always keep in mind those breed-specific factors, knowing that some dogs, like the brachycephalic breeds or heavily coated ones, are naturally more vulnerable to the heat than others.
Exactly. Being aware of your specific dog's breed, their age, their health status, and any predispositions they might have will help you tailor your care to their individual needs and keep them safe and comfortable when temperatures climb.
It really highlights how incredibly adaptable dogs are, doesn't it? Even with these very different ways of staying cool compared to us, it makes you appreciate the ingenuity of their physiology. Perhaps you, our listener, will now observe your own dog's cooling behaviors, the panting, the ear flushing, seeking that cool tile floor with this new understanding, and maybe gain an even deeper appreciation for your amazing furry friend.